Yes, okay, all right. Let us begin. Sarvopanishado Gabo Dugdha Gopal Nandana Parthavatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdhang Gita Mritang Mahat. So we are in the third chapter, and last time we talked about this law of yajna, sacrifice. In the wider sense, it means since you are getting something from others, you should do something in return, and that should be in the spirit of offering. Uh, uh, so that is yajna. So you are getting something from the gods who are presiding over many things. Gods in the sense of devata, not Ishvara. And you are, say, different, these other animals, the domestic animals especially, they are serving you. So you should give something to them. You should give something to the sages who have done so much for humanity, and you are taking benefit of them. You should also, the community of men around you, you should say, and there is also an idea of giving something to the ancestors, departed ancestors, who you see, upon whose toil and you are basing yourself. Your ancestors did many things for the future generations, and you are so they are departed now. So these are the ideas of yajna, and you should follow it. Otherwise, Krishna says that you are a thief. Thief in the sense that you have received something, but you are not giving back something in return. So, and the broader context is the need for doing karma, for spiritual emancipation. Now, why this harping on karma? Because from ancient times, one idea was there among many people in India, that karma begets sins. You are just for living, you are doing many sins. For example, when you are cooking, many your animals whom you do not see even, they are being killed. When you are pounding your spices, when you are walking, when you are applying the broom, you see, you are doing violence to the things, and thereby you are committing sins. So the sins will have the effect on you. So this was one idea. So gradually, one group of people were thinking that let us shun karma as far as possible. Let us shun karma. So you see, for spiritual elevation. Now, this was so much, you see, that's why you in the most ancient Upanishad, one of the shlokas, I am talking about Isha Upanishad. Perhaps it is the most ancient Upanishad because it is inside the Samhita portion of the Veda. Now, it is saying that the Isha Upanishad mantra, that evantai nannathe tasti na karma lipyate nare kurban nibeha karmani jiji vishet shatagga samaha evantai nannate asti na karma lipyate nare, which means that doing karma, you should wish to live 100 years doing karma, because you have no other alternative. And as such, karma does not taint you. That means taint you with sinfulness. So this assertion itself shows that there's this tremendous idea of shunning karma. And the Upanishad is advising people against it. Here also, this question of, because in a few shlokas earlier, Krishna has said that nakarmanam anarambhan nishkarmang purushastate nacha sannasanadeva siddhim samadhigacchati, which means that without beginning karma, you cannot go to the level of inaction, which is found in certain sages, that they are not acting at all. You see, sitting in a place. Take the example of Ramana Maharshi. Sometimes a few words, but Ramana Maharshi was not totally inactive. He was taking part in all the things of the ashrama, even taking part in the preparation of food with others for the devotees. You see, he was not totally inactive, but most of the time people used to see him that he's sitting on a sofa-like thing, you see, and just gazing at, you see, and when asked some questions, he is to give some reply normally. So now that you take the example of Sri Aurobindo, except for composing something, he remained totally inactive for the last several years of his life. The only action he used to do was pacing up and down in the room. There was no other action, you see. And during the Great War, of course, Second World War, he was keeping himself abreast through the radio of what is going on in the world, you see. So these are, you see, so people may think that this is the way, you see. If ordinary people begin to emulate these sages with much inaction, you see, then they themselves will be ruined, because they have not progressed to that level. So that is one thing. And then he is saying, Yastu atmaratireva shed atmatiptascha manava atmaneva cha santushtasya tasya karyam navedyate. These great sages, you see, for them, their delight is in the self, and they're satisfied in the self. And for such your persons, there is obligatory duty to perform. Tasya karyam na vidyate. That means there is no duty for them. I say. So, naiva tasya kritenartha na kriteneha kaschana nachasya sarvabhuteshu kaschid arthavapashraya. He has nothing no object to gain in this world, by action, and nor does he lose anything by withholding from doing something. For him, he is totally independent. He has no, of any being or any object of his life. He does not need anyone's help, For example, people like Trilanga Swami, for example, he will sit completely, most of the time, sit completely in one place, not even trying to gather food. Sometimes people would put something in his mouth, he would then eat normally, otherwise not, तस्माद् असक्त सततं कार्यं कर्म समाचर असक्त हि आचरण कर्म परमाप्नोति पुरुषः. Therefore, that means for this reasons stated above, tasmat asakta satatam, being unattached, you do always action, and doing action in a state of being unattached, you will param apnoti purusha, man gets the highest thing. So now what is difficult is this word therefore. It may have two meanings, therefore, that since if you take that Krishna's idea is that you combine action along with a little bhakti, a little jnana, then this ideal is there, therefore you work, or otherwise it may be interpreted that these great sages have been mentioned. Since you, Arjuna, are not in that state of great wisdom, you should do your development through action, without any attachment, thereby develop yourself. In fact, in this 6th chapter, Krishna will tell that the way to development for ordinary being is through action only. And when some optimal amount of yoga, in the sense of your that you are able to maintain your equanimity to a great degree, then you may withhold your doing anything for another type of action, that means going internal. In the in Buddha's time, there was a Brahmin who once came to Buddha that we do many things from morning till night. Many sorts of vasana we do, etc. And you are doing nothing, etc. So you are inferior to us. Buddha then replied, he talked about 40 karmasthanas. That means I also do many things, That means the mental reflections of many kinds he is doing. He narrated that, saying that these are also actions. That means the Gita's point that Samha Karanamuchyati. That means when you are at some optimal level of yoga, then the way to development is by by reducing external action and enhancing the other thing, that means this mental process of upasana, of dhyana, of reflection, etc., which requires a little seclusion and on the part of the yogi. So that is one thing. And Swami Vivekananda, just like Krishna in the Gita, was of the opinion that by doing karma yoga, one can attain the highest. See, that means karma yoga means you offer everything to God at every moment. So if you can do it through that, you see. And there was your Pandit engaged by Belur Math who used to teach Shastras to the monks and brahmacharis. He used to say that this is not correct because the Shastras do not say so. They say that by karma yoga, say, for example, by nursing patients in the hospital, or by giving food and clothes to the needy during your disaster, you can make spiritual progress sufficiently. So one monk, namely Swami Vivekananda, went to Benares and told this to Swami Turiyananda, that Tarasar Pandit is saying like this. And Swami Turiyananda was walking with a stick. He stopped walking, raised his stick. Go to Math and tell Tarasar Pandit that since Vivekananda has said so, it must be like that. I say, whatever your Shastras say or not, you say. That means idea was that Swami Vivekananda was a sage and he was talking from his own experience. So it is as valid as the words you found in the printed form in your scriptures. Karmanaiva hi samsiddhim mastita janakadaya loka sangrahamevapi sangpashyan kartumarhasi. This Janaka, etc., the Rajarshis like Janaka, they attained perfection by work alone. And you ought to work for the good of the society, having this example in view. That means even if idea is that there is an example of Janaka. Janaka was a historical person, though he has entered into the mythology as the adoptive father of Sita. But he was a historical person because your Brihadaranyaka Upanishad mentions him. The great debate between your Gargi and others with Yajnavalkya was held in the court of Janaka, and it is described in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. And it seems that Yajnavalkya was very close to Janaka, the king. That in India there were Rajarshis, is proved also, you see, by history, because India's last Hindu emperor, Harshavardhan, who died in 647. You see, if you go through his life, you see, especially in his the advanced years of his life, he was a Rajarshi. You see, we do not find in history any other king giving away his everything every 5 years in charity. And at the same time, he was a scholar. He wrote many things in Sanskrit. But he was also a worthy warrior. It is said that in his presence was the king of Assam was attacked by an elephant who took him by the trunk. Then with his sword, he chopped off this. It is not easy to chop off the trunk of an elephant with the sword, but Harsha did it. You see, that shows that he was also, as a Kshatriya, he was a warrior also. But at the same time, this side was also there. He was a scholar, and he was a man of great charity. You see. Indians have not recorded it. We get it from the account of the Chinese traveler. You see. That shows that India had these things, you see, these Rajarshis. And some of the great sages of India are from the royal family, including, for example, Bhartrihari, then Buddha and Mahavir, then your Atisha, who came from Bengal, was born in East Bengal, and went to Tibet to teach them the correct religion. He was of a royal family. So India had this, and in modern India, Mahatma Gandhi called the then king of Mysore modern India's Rajarshi. He was a wise man, he was a scholar, at the same time a king. Yes, and to a certain degree also you may say your Karan Singh of Kashmir. So yajat acharati shreshtas tattat evetaro janaha sajat pramanam kute lokastad anuvartati. The noblest, the greatest in the society, whatever they do, ordinary people imitates them. The standard they set, the ordinary men follow. For example, Mahatma Gandhi was hailed by the Indian population, and many people in many respects began to emulate him. For example, Tiruvan Narayan Singh was from the royal family of Benares, and who happened to be the governor of West Bengal. He used to take goat's milk, emulating the conduct of Mahatma Gandhi. You see. And living simply and having humility, etc. All these things. So, see, many people follow them, you see, their ways, their lifestyle, you see. In all provinces of India, there were people who are following Mahatma Gandhi as lifestyle even. Name parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana nana abaptam ya abaptavyam bharte eva cha karmanihi. See, he says Krishna, you see, raises himself to the status of God and says that, look here, Partha, in these 3 words, I have no duty. And I have nothing which cannot be accomplished or which needs to be accomplished. But still, I am engaged in doing action. What is the action of God? Action of God, the greatest actions are Sishti Sthiti Pralaya, presiding over this thing and responding to people's needs. That means people are praying, and so God has to respond to this, you see. And then you're presiding over their fate according to their karma. You see, these are the works of God, you see, main works of God. And to attend to the prayer of the great souls. So God has a mind, the cosmic mind, and it is in tune with the vibrations of the human mind. When the human mind turns towards God, you see, there is some response in some form or other. You see. For example, Sri Ramakrishna wanted a little fence of a garden. He wanted to, but he was in need of, you see, certain wooden posts, certain ropes to do that, this fencing for the garden. And then one day, you see, there was a great flood, and Hriday came back, you see, saying that the many posts and even the rope has, you see, come to the shore. So thereby, that means God is providing. One day it was a special puja in the ashram of Swami Akhandananda. So he thought of doing the puja. So he took a bath and came to search for a dhoti. He found that the dhoti is totally torn. So he thought that I am a monk, I shall do the puja naked way. Just then he heard a knock at the door, you see, and he opened the door. A postman has come with a parcel and it delivered to him, and he heard the voice of Swami Vivekananda. I know that you will come to such a state, so I am sending this. You see. So that is, you see, so if great souls can respond like that, so how much God can do? You see, that means God, there is a response from this cosmic mind. So these are the works of the, see, so God has enormous work to do also. He cannot sit idle, you see. Yali hyayam navartiyam jatu karmani atanditaha mama vartmanu vartante manusha partha sarvasha. Krishna says that again, you say, again, assuming that he is the God incarnate, he is saying this. If I did not ever continue in action and without unwearied, then men will always, you see, all around will follow my way. That means they will go to inaction and thereby become ruined. You see in this world that the lowest type of people are full of tamas, physical and mental lethargy. That is the sign of tamas. Mentally, your lethargy and physically also not much active. But the general rule is this: your body and mind is the part of the nature, and nature is always in action. So if you remain in inaction, that goes against the nature. You see, you have to. You see, because body and mind is for that purpose only. You have sense organs, you have you see, all the faculties. They are meant for being applied. Utsideyurime loka nakuryat karmachedaham sankarasya chikartasyam upahanyam imapraya. That hello, please you mute yourself. If I, that means God, would be in inaction, all these worlds would have perished. And I shall be the cause of confusion among men. That means sankarasya kartasyam. Sankarasya means mixture. Mixture that he says about the, you see, hints at the mixture of castes. Mixture of castes. So this caste questions, sankarasya kartasyam, I shall be the reason for this bringing into being this sankara. And what is the, because the Indian social structure was based on caste. Caste is not bad. What is bad, that in course of time it degenerated into the hierarchy of privilege. That is bad. If you go to the ancient, very ancient your books of law, there is no division. There is that means for the four castes, you see, the stages of this life are there. That means one this your brahmacharya, garhastha, vanaprastha, sannyasa. These are for the four castes. You see, it is on the later, you see, people that gradually the Shudras and women were discriminated against, because we have this shloka, Pura kalpe kumarinang munji bandhanam ishyate vedanancha adhyapanam savitri vachanam tatha. That in ancient days, girls, the unmarried girls used to have munji bandhana. That means the girdle with the munja grass. which later on became the sacred thread, upabita. So girls used to have it, and we have the proof in the system of our cousins, I mean the Zoroastrians. Among them, even today, even girls have upabita. So it is saying, Purakalpe Kumarinang Mangi Bandhanam Ishyate Vedanancha Dhyapanam. They could teach Vedas and Savitri Vachadan Tatha. They could utter the Gayatri mantra. That shows that, you see, they had some status. Without that, you cannot imagine a person like, for example, Gargi, a lady philosopher, you see, challenging Yajnavalkya in the court of Janaka. So, you see, it is because of this, and we have the examples of, say, highly cultured ladies like Jashomuti, the mother of Harshavardhana. So this Shankara, that means when there is a mixture of castes through intercaste marriage, which was not very much, you see, encouraged, because then, you see, then there is a confusion regarding the duty. You see, each class of the caste, they had certain duties to perform. If there is a confusion of castes, then you see, is a Brahmin, you see, being married to a non-Brahmin. I am talking about the context of ancient India. So the offsprings, what would be their duty to society? Who will teach them and how? Yes. So this was the main question, because main teaching is to come from the family. Some is to go to the gurus in the forest. Now another ideal is being given. Saktah karmani avidyangsa yatha kurbanti bharata kurjad vidyangsa tatha saktas chikirshur lokasangraha. The idea of lokasangraha, welfare of the society, is being put forward, that ordinary people, they're attached, you see. They're attached to the results of the karma. They want something back, you see. So they do work, you see, in a certain way. Now, the great sage who has higher vision and who is elevated, they also do likewise, you see, because they want welfare of the society. They do not want to set a bad example. You see. In modern days, you look at Swami Vivekananda or the Holy Mother. They're highly active people. Highly active people. You see. So you see, they had nothing, I say, personal to gain from it. They could have passed on days with, you say, much easily, shedding much workload, but they used to do this. Na buddhivedam janayata jnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidyan yukta samacharan. Enlightened person should not create confusion of understanding among the ordinary people. by setting bad example. Buddhivedam janayat, you see. And he should work with equanimity, and he should make he should make them interested in all activities by his own example. And during his visit to East Bengal in 1916, Swami Premananda at one point saw somewhere near Dhaka a pond which is full of scums. And he is scums or something, you see, this plant called hyacinth, which came from Australia to invade Bengal, I say, and created malaria, say, too much. So he saw it and himself was going down the pond to clear it. Seeing this, of course, other young people, they say that, Swami, you need not do it, we shall do it. And so this is how they do, so by himself doing. Swami Premananda, who was the manager of Belur Math, he used to prepare balls with coal dust and mud, which is used for fuel in the kitchen. You say, in those days, himself used to prepare those things. I say, himself used to go to the garden with young boys and do the weeding, I say, of bad herbs. So, you see, he was engaged in everything. You see, at unearthly hour, a devotee has arrived in Belur Math. He used to go to the kitchen to prepare food himself. So he is very much active and responsive to the needy people's needs. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimuratma kartaham iti manyati. Now it is from the philosopher's analysis that all karmas are being done actually by the gunas, because your behind the action is your will to do action, certain action, and that will is you're created by your mind, which is a part of evolute. It is a mind is an evolute from Prakriti, which is the matrix of physical and psychical universes. From, as I have said last time, from Prakriti is this first evolute is Mahat. Mahat means the blueprint of the universe. That means the seed of the universe. And from Mahat comes cosmic egoity, Ahankara. From Ahankara, then the Indiyas and the subtle bhutas, they come, which again subtle bhutas by combination become gross bhutas. So finally, your action is being done by the gunas which are evolved from the nature, because both external things and your internal system, body and mind, they're products from the Prakriti. The matrix of the physical and psychical universes. So, so your actions are being done by Prakriti, but your personal ahankara, the ego sense, you are deluded by that. Ahankara vimuratva, kartaham iti vanyate. Thinks that I am the doer. Who is this I? Who is this I? Everything, your body and mind and the external world, everything is coming from the Prakriti, you see. And so it is the interaction between different evolutions of the Prakriti. But since you do not see it, and you are deluded by your ego sense, so kartam, so you should not have any ahankara in any respect. Neither wealth, nor scholarship, nor physical beauty or physical strength. So, see, there is nothing to be. You see, this ahankara itself is a strategy of nature to delude you. Tattvittu mahavaho gunakarma vibhagaya guna guneshu vartanta iti matva nasajjati. That those who know the truth, that the dispositions of nature and the actions springing from it are distinct from the self, they know that self is not, you see, their self with a big S, that is not involved in anything. It is the non-self part in us, which is, you see, in action with the external world, you see. So this guna and karma, you see, this division, those who know about it, the philosophers, they think that guna guneshu vartante, the gunas are residing in the gunas. That means it is an interplay of, because Prakriti itself is composed, as I have said, of three gunas. So everything is your interaction between the gunas. So thinking thus, the philosopher, iti matva na sajjati, he is not being, he remains unattached. So, Prakiter gunasang murha sajjante gunakarmashu. Tan akrisnabid mandan krisnabidna vichalayit. The same idea is being given, which has been, you say, that those who are deluded by the gunas of the Prakriti, they become attached in this guna and karma because they are deluded. Those people who are not seeing the whole truth, tan akrishna vida. Akrishna vida means they do not know, they know only a part of the whole truth. You see, for example, they think that I have done, you see, this thing. Who is this I? They do not realize who is this I. You see, in this I there is much contribution of your parents, of your teachers, and also of God. He has placed you, you see, your birth has been decided according to your karma by God. So, you see, so you are, you see, you are not seeing it. Or Krishna Bida, you are not seeing the whole truth. So those who see the whole truth, they should not disturb their understanding. I say that's why they, like the others, they go on doing work to set an example before the people. Mui sarvani karmani sagnasya adhatma chetasa nirashi nirmamo bhuktva juddhasya vigata jvaraha. Now, vigata jvaraha means with passion spent, you say. That means your juddhasya, you give fight, you see, without the slightest touch of nirashi, nirmamo, without any asha and without any mamakara. Asha means people normally, they are not nirashi, they are ashi. That means they do things because they hope something will come in return to them. And they have always the idea that this belongs to me, that belongs to me, etc. So there is mamakara. Nirashir nirmamo bhutva. Juddhasya vigata. You should fight with your, say, the slightest touch of excitement. Mui sarvani karmani sangnasya advatva chetasa. And offering everything, sangnasya, totally offering everything to me. That means to God. Sarvani karmani, all actions should offer to God. You see. That means you should not, that is the way of spiritual progress. One who does not do that will become entangled in worldliness. Yeme matam idam nityam anutishtanti manava Shraddhavanta anusuvanta muchyante tepi karmabhi. Whoever follows this teaching of mine, yemi matam idam, this idea, this you see, mind, those are following with their minds full of Shraddha. Shraddha means the word is used much in our spiritual text, Shraddha. Shat means Satya. And dha means you are keeping your Shraddha, keeping your Satya there. That means your mind is taking something as the truth. Say this Shraddha. For example, Gita will say in the Shraddha Saivasa. Whatever one's Shraddha is, one is that. Now Shraddha differs. You see, some people may think that earning money is, you see, is the summum bonum of life, because by earning money you will have all the things at your command. Others think that no, you see, knowledge is most important. So they are after secular knowledge. Ignoring the spiritual knowledge, that means knowing what is in the space or in you see, in a certain your bioform. That means any animal, insect, or etc. That is good, but much more higher is knowing the internal workings of your mind and trying to control the mind. So when you try to control the mind, etc., then it becomes adhyatma, jigyasa. So it is adhyatma chetasa, they're saying, in unison with your the spirit, inner spirit. You fight like this. And that is, and here, Shraddhavanta Anusuvanta, he is saying the next, you see, you are full of this Shraddha and you are free from disparagement. You do not, you see, Asua means malice. Anusua means freedom from malice. You see, malice in the sense that, you see, if you are hankering for things in the world, you will always have some amount of malice towards people who have these things, who have power, who have money, who have, you see, secular knowledge, for example, who have recognition in society, etc. Will be always, you see, hankering for these things. Ye tuetad abhyasyanta nan tishtanti me matam sarvajnana vimurangastan vidhi nashtam achetasaha. Now, those who disparage this idea of mine, that means this idea that you should do karma without attachment, discard it, such senseless persons, they are blind to all wisdom, they are spiritually lost. They cannot make progress. So let us stop here, and if you have any questions. Om Purnamada Purnamidang Purnamudachyati Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasisyati. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. If you have any questions, you can raise.
Swamiji, pranam Swamiji.
Yes. Yes.
You have just told one shloka for Munja Bandhan, the sacred thread for women's.
Yes.
From where it is it Swamiji? From where is the shloka?
Daksha Smriti. It is in the Daksha Smriti.
Okay, Swamiji.
Yes. And that it is true, it is sin from system Gita among the girls of Zoroastrian religion. Because Zoroastrian, they are Iran, they come from Iran, and Iran was the Aryan country. The name itself is from the Aryan Iran. So you see, And at a point of history, there was some kind of your some kind of quarrel among these two your Aryans, Indian Aryans, and Persian area, and Zarathustra came and many things changed. But it was the turn of history that they were invaded by Muslims, and Muslims took over the country. So they fled mainly to India and found refuge in India. Yes, sir. So let us, yes, there is no other question.